Hi everyone, I am here with another story where miracles happen, true stories of heavenly encounters. Okay, this quote is written by Saint Teresa of Lisieux. O guardian angel, cover me with thy wing. O friend, illumine my path, direct my footsteps, and be my protection just for today. And this story is called Summons to the Danger Zone. Nurse Edie Murphy worked at a state psychiatric hospital in Massachusetts. Such a job is always challenging, and one of the hardest parts, Edie says, is admitting new patients being brought in by ambulance. You're never sure what state they're in, if they're violent or, for instance, ambulances at the hospital discharged patients in a basement area, somewhat deserted and removed from regular hospital activity. Because of this, proper procedure involved two people meeting the ambulance and admitting nurse accompanied by a male mental health technician. One night, Edie was helping out in the ward other than her own when she learned that a patient was on his way by ambulance. Because everyone else was busy, Edie volunteered to meet him. I was uneasy because I rarely did admissions, and the technician who accompanied me was new and very hesitant. However, as the two came down the quiet corridor, Edie saw Dan waiting for them. This was a relief, since Dan was a strong and thoroughly reliable tech with whom she had often worked, though never in admissions. What a nice coincidence that he happened to be there at just the right moment. Before she could ask Dan why he was working night duty, the ambulance drove up, deposited the patient, and left. Hi, I'm Edie Murphy, Edie smiled at the young man, who she later learned was psychotic. I'll be doing your admission. She watched as his expression began to change. This could be a dangerous point when a patient realized he was going to be hospitalized. Without warning, the young man lunged at Edie, grabbing her throat. The other tech barely reacted, but Dan, instantly alert, caught the patient in a basket hold and subdued him while Edie summoned additional help. Her heart was still racing an hour later when she and Dan had a chance to discuss the close call. I'm so glad you were there, Edie told him. Otherwise, I could have been badly injured. It was lucky you phoned, Dan agreed. But how did you know I was working overtime and 5 buildings away from you? Edie frowned. What do you mean, Dan? I didn't call you. But Dan stared at her puzzled. Some woman phoned our medical room nurse. She said send Dan to admissions. Edie needs help. Some woman? The busy nurses on Edie's floor hadn't phoned. They had already sent an escort with Edie, and they weren't aware Dan was still on duty. In a building on the other side of the grounds, the nurse on Dan's ward didn't know Edie or anything about a new admission. When the phone rang, that nurse was in the usually vacant cubbyhole pouring a medication. Who summoned Dan to the danger zone before Edie had even arrived? No one ever discovered the answer. The 91st Psalm about angelic protection has always been a favorite of mine, Edie says. But on that day, several other people became believers too. Yep. And make you a believer, wouldn't it? That's God that sent him there to help her, because he knew she would need help with that patient. Because you see, the other guy that was sent with her did not react at all. He was new and scared and didn't know what to do. She could have been seriously hurt, like she said, or even killed. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story, and I hope you guys have a good night.